The CBSE results are out and the new format of 40-30-30, it was the first time it was used to define your board percentage. But not many kids are happy. The board exams which ran into so many controversies this year. First, there was the wait, then there were several petitions, followed by Supreme Court hearing the matter, and then finally the government deciding to call off the examinations. And then the 40-30-30 formula was devised as well. The formula rewarded, in a way, consistency. Students who performed well all through in class 10th, in 11th, in 12th as well, and they stood to benefit, making many question the concept of a board examination altogether. So today on We the People, we are going to talk to these students, this class of 2021, the class which witnessed a turbulent year and now with the results out shows a new problem. This is the problem of plenty of toppers. Sample this. The class of 2020, that is the exam which the year and the class which actually did give exam versus the class of 2021 which did not give examination. The overall passing percentage goes from 88.78% to 99.37%. So many more students passed this year because of this formula. Number of schools, we tried to see that is it because there are more schools, there are more students this year? Well, there is an increase, but not so much as is seen in the numbers. And look at this statistic. In 2020, schools with 100% pass percentage were just 396. Cut to 2021, which is the no exam year, the schools with 100% passing percentage is 875, from 396 to 875. Massive increase over there. Again, the pass percentage for girls, that went up in 2020 by being 92.15% to 99.67%. To boys, it went from 86.19 to 99.13. Significant increase there for the boys, much more than we see for the girls. Girls obviously went on to outshine the boys, as is always the case, and is not happening just in academics, happening in Olympics as well for the moment. But look at this very fascinating statistic also for the 2020 pass percentage of transgender students, 66.67% for 2020, beg your pardon, and then cut to the class of 2021, 100% over there. That's a welcome increase, of course. So now on the program today on We the People, we'll be talking to these students, we'll be talking to career counselors, and we'll also try and understand how has this changed their lives and will this make the admission process much more tough now. So let's get started with the students first. Joining us from the class of 2021 is Ehsas Ahuja. We also have Shubhra Jain with us and Yasmin Hasmi. Ehsas, let me begin with you. Tell me what was your score and how have you taken to these new formula of calculating marks? What are your thoughts?
I'm Ehsas Ahuja. I scored 95% in the board exams, but I thought I would have scored more marks if the exams would have held offline like any other year, because I was thoroughly prepared with the syllabus, and I think it was better for me to give the exam, or for me to get a chance to give an exam at least.
How much were you expecting?
I was expecting like 97% or more.
And do you think this percentage down is because of the calculation of class 11th, as I keep hearing from a lot of students?
Yes, that's true. In my case, that's true.
Okay. Let's go across to Shubhra Jain as well. Shubhra, your thoughts? How much did you score first? Tell us that as well.
I scored 94%. And I think the 30-30-40 system that is here, it affected my marks because of the 11th grade results. Otherwise, I think if I would have given the exams, I would have worked more and I would have gotten like good marks. Like I was expecting 96% or something, but that didn't happen.
Okay, not happy as well. Let's go to Yasmin. Yasmin?
Yes, Yasmin Hashmi. I scored 95.2% in 12th boards. I was expecting to be doing much better, but then this formula, which also include the 11th grade marks, it decreased the percentage. If the boards happened, the results would have been different and better.
So I don't see, we've got 3 case studies and lots of other students as well on the program, but all 3 not very happy with their percentage. Now, the problem here is not just about individuals and students feeling, well, they couldn't really put in their all and get that marks and then get, much talked about board examination percentage. The problem also is that the overall performance of the students has actually gone up, like I just brought out in those graphics set in the explainer that we got for you earlier. So let me on this note go across to my panelists now. We've got Anil Kumar with us. He's the principal for DPS Faridabad. Nidhi Singh is with us, director of Nutan Universal Academy. She's a career counsellor. And we also have Vrinda Saroop with us, former secretary, Department of School Education and Literacy. Let me first go across to Vrinda. Vrinda, we've spoken about this earlier when the formula had just come out. And then you had said, well, this is very fair, this is how it should be. And we did discuss this entire concept of what's the point of a board examination altogether if it is going to be only based on consistency, on how students have fared throughout their career, especially in their 10th, 11th and 12th. And now look at the results right now. We're looking at many more students getting above 90%. We're looking at many more students getting above 95 as well. That essentially means that your cutoffs for college examinations are going to get very, very tough.
So can you hear me?
I can, Vrinda, go ahead.
Yeah. So I think everyone's very happy. The students are happy because there's been a phenomenal result. Parents are happy. Schools are happy. But I congratulate the achievers, and it's been a very tough year for them, and they are now, getting results, and these are good results. But having said that, Sonal, there is definitely 2-3 things which are coming out very sharply. One is that our internal assessment systems in the school are really coming up short. And this is the kind of results that you see. What has basically happened is that it's last year's result with a 2% markup. So it's not really helping. And I think I understand the angst of these children, of these students, because having worked hard, those differentials are not coming, those rewards are not coming to them. For those students who really have worked hard consistently. The second point is, I think it gives you more an idea of the school performance than the individual children's performance. So, that offsets a lot of, what the students feel about it. But lastly, I think it's a lesson for the future. And we must, because if this COVID is going to haunt our lives for a few more years, we must, in any school board, have systems by which we can do either very tight and very standardized internal assessment systems, which I think is difficult to achieve in a year. But we must set our minds to some online or some open book exams, so that we give all children a fair chance to be assessed independently.
All right, fascinating points over there. Let me go across to Anil Kumar. He's the principal for DPS in Faridabad. The DPS, a chain of schools known to be very, very competitive, known to give out a lot of toppers across the country as well. Mr. Kumar, what are your thoughts, and how have your students fared?
Looking at, first of all, my school, I'll say, we have 405 children appearing this year in class 12, out of which the average aggregate index is 91.2%, which is up by about 1% than the last year. We were last year about almost 89.5%. This year we are 91.2%.
Okay.
Now, looking at the, I'll say, the entire spectrum as a whole, this formula, I'll say, in itself, for a pandemic year, is the best. There could not have been any other way to assess children, because it is the CBSE has to rely on the school's index, that is 10th, 11th and 12th. So At best, they could have said that 10th could have been 25, 11th could have been that ratio, or 12th could have been more like that. That is just a small marker. But I'll definitely say on this is that the children as a whole, if we look at it, those who are the toppers, they remain toppers. Those who are at the those who are at the, I'll say, receiving end and lower marks and all, that also remains the same. Nothing much has changed, except the pass percentage where the board is considerate and has increased drastically. That is the only way I'll say that has changed a little bit. If I look at my 95% last year.
But sir, wouldn't you say that schools have their own internal assessment and own way of evaluating? So class 11th holding as much weightage as your 10th board examination, that did put in some schools which are a little more liberal, and there is a competition going on as well amongst all schools as well, as at a bit of a disadvantage there, or it could vary with schools just wanting to better their performance and thus being a little more lenient as well. But that's something I'll come back to you a little later on. Let me bring in Nidhi Singh at this point. Nidhi, coming to the initial question over here, how difficult is it going to be for students now moving forward to get through these colleges? Because look at your overall people getting above 95, above 97. That has shot up. It hasn't been like this in decades.
Yeah, it's really very tough for the students because cutoff will be very high, and students have to rush and they have to choose. It will be difficult for them to get their courses because queue is very big now. So it will be really difficult. But there was no other option now due to this pandemic. So I am really very satisfied with this process which CBSE chose for the result.
All right. So what I'm hearing from this panel is all the adults and all the professionals are satisfied. The students are not. So let me go back to the students now. We've got some students who have actually passed from class 12th, and let's listen in from their questions as well and what do they have to say. I believe we have Shubham Malhotra with us. Please go ahead with your question. Unmute yourself, Shubham, first.
Am I audible?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so my question is, while I agree that a student who has been consistent through 10th and 11th, he or she will score good in 12th as well. But what about the students who maybe planned on, improving their performance in 12th standard and who haven't been able to do good in 11th and who planned on improving their academics in 12th? What about those students? Has this procedure or method not been unfair to those students?
Okay. Let's take one more question. We can go back to the panel on that. I believe we have Anjali with us. Anjali Chadak, please go ahead.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, so my question carried a justification for the students of class 12, basically, the batch of 2020-21, that when we study in class 11, we don't give weightage much because we are new to the curriculum, we are new to the studies. So is it justified for the students who actually wanted to work hard in class 12 and had been suffering from the pandemic as well? So is it justified on their side to have these 40-30 percentage formula and have the percentage, like if they have 80% and they had been working for 95? So is it justified on their side?
Okay. Let's go back to Anil Kumar on those questions. Lisa, what you're hearing from students at this point essentially is they're questioning the sheer presence of a board examination altogether. They're saying if this was the case, then what about those who really put in the hard work, who kept studying through the entire turmoil, kept wondering whether or not exams are going to happen, not happening, but they still put in their very best. They stand to lose then, because the competition has increased for them.
The board has given a window for them as well, and anybody who is dissatisfied by the score, they are welcome to appear for the exam. And let me, with a slight conviction, say this, that the number of children appearing for the exam of the CBSE will be really short. So, while showing your anger and angst, one has to be really careful that how much they basically deserve. Did they get that or not from their school? and then finally being endorsed by the board. That is one aspect. Second aspect is, if they really feel so, the window to give an exam is very much open, and the board is very, very open about all that. So the idea of the having an exam thereafter automatically covers the issues which the children are basically facing. But now it may be slightly unfair on that particular part, maybe on the issue that they will say, why do I need to appear when others are not? So it may be looked at it in a slightly biased format or an unbiased format that we need to understand for ourselves.
Okay.
So that disparity will remain.
All right, let me go to Vrinda on a slightly different question. Vrinda, we've had this issue with the CBSE and even with the ICSE for that matter, that we've had very high percentages coming. Every year, Delhi University, after nursery admissions, perhaps the biggest story of the year, with the sheer amount of people with 100% cutoffs, 99% cutoffs, and forget handling that. Pandemic has brought in a problem over and above. How do you think is the best way to actually deal with this? How should colleges be thinking? Because they need to be mindful. They have limited seats. How are they going to ensure that the best of the candidates are getting those seats?
So, this not holding the CBSE exam is just, kick the can down the road. Now, what I'm hearing is that there is serious consideration in universities for an entrance exam. Because they need a leveler to be able to, decide on who gets into their limited seats. So I think this is no solution that you don't hold a school exam, but then you do an entrance exam, which is much or less the same thing. Same crowds are going to go and take the same exam, and all that vulnerability gets enhanced. So I think universities are going to have a very tough time. And my heart goes out to the students, because there will be much heartburn there, because the scores are so ridiculously high that it's going to be very difficult, and many good students might lose out. So I think it's either an entrance exam or a lot of heartache.
All right, let's get a word from the students on that point and see if what satisfies them at the moment. If I can go back to Shubhra and Esas on this one. Shubhra, to you first. Do you think an entrance exam for colleges will provide that level playing field which you seem to be missing with the board results?
Yes, I think the entrance exams are going to be difficult. Like the papers are going to be difficult. Like we were studying throughout our 12th grade for our board exams to happen, but they didn't. Now we have to study for our entrance too. So that is tiring, but I think if you want something, you have to work for it. So
Right.
people should work for it if they want to get into good colleges.
Right. Esas?
That is my thought.
Yes, ma'am.
Entrance exam, are you game for preparing for that altogether if that happens?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. I'm ready to prepare for any entrance exam that happens, because I already have prepared so much that it will not much of an issue to work 2 months from now.
Nice, fascinating. But I just want to bring in a perspective at this point in the program, that the reason why the exams were cancelled and the reason why this has been such a taxing year for everybody has been because there are so many students who have seen a lot of loss at home. There are so many students who could not prepare, and we need to be mindful for them as well. And this formula gives them a chance of a level playing field, and this gives them a chance of not having faced a setback because of tragedies at home as well. Nidhi, do you want to come and weigh in at this point on how should the best approach be moving forward? I know this year the number of applications of students going abroad has actually shot up. Kids are saying, well, we don't know what's going to happen in India, and the exams and the cutoffs are going to be so high, might as well put in a little extra and go abroad and try and make a career over there. But for those who don't have that option, what should their thought process be looking at the entrance examinations now?
Yeah, I think entrance exams is the best way to overcome all these things, because students are already worked hard, and those students who did not do well in the exam somehow for some reasons, or could not do work hard as much as they could, then they have now time to have prepare for this entrance exam and do whatever they want to do.
Okay.
So entrance exam is the only solution in my views.
All right. I think I have time for a couple of last audience questions coming in. We have Aditya Raj with us. Go ahead with your question, please.
Thank you for giving me a chance. Actually, my question was basically onto the step in student's life, which is the admission into the college. As there are only few seats and there are a lot of students which have scored enormous percentage, and we have to keep it in mind that there are very short percentages of seats out there, and if some percent of students should be there which are not satisfied with the results, so how they're going, how they they need to go with that, and how they're gonna cope up with that. They're gonna drop a year and then they're gonna again try for 22, or how they're gonna manage the circumstances then. Because if I am a student and if I want Delhi University, and there are a lot of students which have 95% plus percentages, and if I'm unlucky to be there, then it should be a very cumbersome process, a very tiresome process to dropping a whole year and getting my desired university to go in.
And we already saw that happen during 2020, because a lot of students who applied abroad, their colleges did not begin, so they anyways took a gap year and said that we'll go in only once those colleges resume. It's been a complex period for everybody. But let me go to Anil Kumar at this point. Are you preparing the future classes for these eventualities now? Now when you have the batch of 22, 23, 24, are you seeing a sort of shift in their mindset as well to take every exam seriously, because God knows what formula will really be devised later on? And is there a shift in how they look and the outlook they have towards internals as well now?
I completely agree with that. The reason for this is that there has to be a continuous process of assessment rather than evaluating it at the end of the day. If 15-hour exam, I'm saying 3 hours for each subject and 5 subjects for a child, 15 hours cannot depict what a child is basically all about. So getting into entrance mode, I have a slight difference with Nidhi, doesn't really gel well. The idea is the children who we basically take at a particular level. If I were to say, board has jacketed our school that children cannot go beyond 95% more than 61. So if I give 95 and above to 62 children, board is not accepting my result. The system is like that. Okay. Why it is with respect to the previous year's performance. Where my school was the best, they said, okay, this is your best result. To pick up out of this, now you fix your children in such a manner, those who really deserve this, allot that to them. If you have to give it less to them, that may be a biased issue or maybe an issue which the schools have to address at their own level. But honestly speaking, board is really firm on that. More important, there is a small principle in our subject which says pigeonhole principle. If there are 10 pigeons and say 5 holes or say 6 holes, then 4 pigeons has to sit out. You cannot fit them into the same. If each occupies one particular, there has to be this problem everlasting. So if I say that this is a problem this year, no. It had been a problem in the past. It is a problem for the present. It is a problem for the future. Because if the colleges have seats, say 14 lakh something, which the children have been announced, passed by the board this year, then only they can be absorbed in all colleges. Otherwise not, which is not the case. So if you have to sit out, so we have to have some mechanism by which we can say they are all absorbed in a manner by which is true to the potential of the child, as well as the system should entail that particular strength in the system as a whole, that they absorb children at a right point in time with right attitude, with right skills. So this has to change.
All right. I only have last few minutes for a quick last comment from everybody. Vrinda, you can go ahead first.
So I think in future, Sonal, we will have to, CBSE has announced a semester system for next year, which is a midway test and then a final one. Yeah, so that's fine. But then you must hold it, and you must have that, give every student a chance to be independently assessed in a level playing field. And so I think that as a board, they and all the other state boards should get around to a formula that if they cannot get the students into classrooms for a proper pen and paper test, then we must have some online, open book type of testing, some kind of question bank for that should be in readiness so that you respond to that situation immediately, but do independent testing. Otherwise, you will always leave the system with a lot of heartburn and credibility loss. So I think
which is the case right now, which is what we are hearing from a lot of students right now. Quick last comments from Nidhi, please.
Yeah, according to me, MCQ test like a JEE or NET वगैरह means all these papers have been taking na. MCQ test means multiple choice questions test. It can be conducted if board is not possible in a case. But I really wish that Corona will go by the coming year.
Well, that's a great note. Wishing that COVID goes away is, I think, something everybody can agree upon, really. But we can't really wish it away like that. We have to prepare ourselves. And good luck to the class of 2021 at this point. Nidhi, I'm sorry I'm interrupting. I'm running out of time completely. But thank you to all the students and our panelists as well for joining us tonight. And good luck to this class of 2021 and the coming 2022 as well. Let's wait now and see how the universities respond to these examinations and how they are adapting to this new formula. We'll be back with all the details. Stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching. Good night.